Did I survive my triggers? Friday, yes. Today's Saturday, though. What does that bring? Oh, and we're going to talk about a food additive. Stay tuned. Alright, check it out. I cleaned the grill yesterday. Oh, yeah. I'm able to pull these apart. I took the heat tints out. I took this out. This is pretty cool. It's all nice and clean. This tray comes out. Man, they've made a lot of modern advancements on grills since this one. You know, if you wanted to clean this one, it didn't have a plate underneath. You could clean that off, which, you know, I failed to do, which is why it's all rusty. And, oh, man. We won't talk about this. 286.0. So we're still doing okay. We're holding steady. Yesterday I did have some bratwurst. I did eat 2 hot dogs. But I didn't really feel different today, but my skin's breaking out a little bit. So let's talk about something. All right, we got our sparkling water. For those of you that are trying to give up soda, the sparkling water works good. They got flavors, although the natural flavors can create triggers. But if you just want clean sparkling water, make this ice cold, and it kind of gives you the fizzies without all the BS. So, if you watch the video that Sterling did on my channel, he showed a package of pork rinds, and one of the ingredients was Torula yeast. And this is straight from the company that makes its website, you know, an ingredients company. I wanted to know what Torula yeast is. I've never paid attention to that ingredient. You know, I was always looking at the maltodextrins and the dyes and everything. But Torula, whatever, that yeast, whatever that is, right? So, it goes in about how thousands of years people have been using yeast for cake and bread and blah, 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 right? So, Torula yeast is perhaps less widely known, but it's becoming even more useful. Let's find out why. All right, here we go. This is the magic sauce here, okay? It is used in a wide variety of both human and animal foods. So it's important to ask exactly what is it made of. Like other yeasts, Torula yeast is a single-celled microorganism belonging to the fungus family, which, you know, we all know that. This is a type of yeast that grows on wood. This is why it's a natural byproduct of the paper industry. Now, I've talked about this before, but one time I was picking up or delivering at a paper plant, and there was a Schneider tanker truck. I'm like, what are you getting? He's like, oh, I'm getting wood pulp. It's in liquid form. I'm like, oh, interesting. What do they do with this? Well, we send it to animal feed plants. They put in dog food and stuff like that. Okay. I thought it was cellulose, but cellulose is also derived from wood, but this is something else, right? As wood pulp is transformed into paper, this yeast forms on the liquid that's left over. After being dried, it could be used in powder form. This powder is then added to many food production processes. Interesting. Who's the first one that came up with that? Who's the first person that said, hey, this wood scum could be useful in eating, right? Talk about food allergies, I'm skipping over a bunch of stuff. Doesn't contain gluten, so that's the good news. The reason why it's gluten free is because it's not derived from wheat, barley, or rye, but from wood. It's good for celiac disease, whatever. How is the yeast used in food applications? This is it. It has a characteristic umami taste, UMAMI. And as a result, alongside industrial applications, the yeast has enjoyed great popularity among animal feed producers. Animals find the flavor more appetizing, so they eat more of their feed. Now, you give these animals gruel or pellets, and they need to make them more appetizing. They found an ingredient that does that. Why would you want your animals to eat more? Well, because you want to fatten them up, right? But in recent years, this is from the website, remember, this is the company that makes them. In recent years, food manufacturers have realized the potential of the yeast for human food production. So when it comes to food, what is it used for? It's a great flavoring ingredient. The flavor delivery properties of the yeast are particularly important in vegetarian and vegan foods. The yeast imparts a delicious meaty flavor which allows food producers to closely mimic the taste of meat. Well, if you're a vegan or vegetarian, why do you need the taste of meat? Oh, and why, if you're feeding your animals and they're looking at these pellets and they're like, oh, these pellets kind of suck. Oh, you need to make them taste like meat because they're not made from meat, right? However, even when the foods aren't targeted at vegetarians and vegans, the yeast can vastly improve recipes. It can bring out savory notes in all kinds of food, from succulent meatballs to rich sauces. It's also used as a stabilizing agent because they pretty much kill the microorganisms. And now, according to this, it says it has high nutritional value, it has vitamin B12. And then they talk about all the different, chromium, selenium, all this stuff, right? Because they have to make those animal pellets, somewhat healthy, kind of like enriched bread. They take out all the nutrients in flour and then they add them. It's kind of like that. That's the same process, right? Here's the thing. It's literally designed to make you eat more. That's why they put it in your food. When you can't put that bag of chips down, when you can't put that bag of flavored pork rinds down, it's getting in your brain, right? Now, another thing I'll mention is we got this pamphlet from World Vision, and they're talking about this stuff called super cereal. Okay? Now, this is not a bash of the organization. They do great work. They go to third world countries and they get calories into these people that are starving. Now, when I worked at a nursing home as a cook, we had this stuff that was also called super cereal. It had a ton of oatmeal, a ton of what they call oleo, which is basically butter flavored seed oil, brown sugar, white sugar, some cinnamon. Basically it was like this decadent breakfast hot cereal, and it's designed to make the patient gain weight. And it was funny because at the end of every breakfast, we were allowed to eat whatever was left over. And a friend of mine that was working there, he was like, oh, this super cereal is great. And he was eating it every day. And next thing you know, he's like, at the end of the month, he was 15 pounds heavier. Like, yeah, dude, that's what it's designed to do. And so what World Organization does is they bring this stuff. It's got vitamins, it's got milk powder, it's got corn, sugar, soy. They bring this stuff to third world countries to get calories, so they're not like skin and bones, so they can eat something, and it's and it's a lot cheaper, obviously, to just do that instead of, meat or whatever, and vegetables, because a lot of these countries have issues. So they're able to put it in a nice little package like that, which is a great organization. It's called World Vision. However, what you have to recognize is that they're using corn, sugar, and soy to make this process, which is the exact thing that these food companies are using on you to make this food more decadent, and it makes you crave more, it makes you eat more. And we designed the super cereal at our nursing home to make the patient want some, so to want to eat it, because if you give them like oatmeal gruel, they're not gonna eat that. But if you put a bunch of sugar in it and a bunch of butter flavoring in it, and it was pretty good. I had some. And the idea is the same foods that they use to fatten the animals, like grain finished cattle, and in the different products that they give pigs, to fatten them up, is the same stuff they're putting in your food. And I don't know. I know that. Well, I don't know about you, but I've picked up a lot of loads as a truck driver at these plants where they make cat food, dog food, all that stuff. There's a great warehouse in Grovetown, Ohio, and it's Mars, the candy bar company. They have a dog food, pet food warehouse. Del Monte is another brand. You go to that place in Topeka, and it's Del Monte. But even though I think they make cat food there, or all different kinds of pet food. And the next time you give your dog your treats, or next time you give your cat your treats or whatever, look at the ingredient list of those treats, right? The other day, I think it was yesterday, my wife had to take the cat to the vet, and as a reward, when the cat comes home, because it's obviously a traumatic situation, we give them this treat. It's like a popsicle kind of thing, right? And that cat is ravenous for that. And I haven't checked the ingredient list to see what's in it, but that cat's like, I know, I'm weird, right? But the whole point of this whole video is that if you're struggling right now, it's okay. Because you're fighting against the system, you're fighting against cravings, you're fighting against something that's been ingrained and put in our bodies for a long, long time. If it's not sugar, it's dextrose. If it's not dextrose, it's maltodextrin. If it's not that, it's different starches. If it's not starches, it's yeast. It's different, and if you look at the video from yesterday or today, it's actually this morning. If you look at that video that Sterling's in, it's got red dye, blue dye. I don't even know what LAK means. That's my next thing I'm gonna investigate. And then the maltodextrin, and then the dextrose, and then the yeast, right? Torula yeast. Let's say that 5 times fast. That's why it's hard to kick the habits. They've put this stuff in things that are seemingly healthy, right? They're actually not. That's why these keto branded things, a lot of them aren't. They're just changing the names of the sugars. Yeah, they might be lower glycemic than straight fructose or corn syrup or whatever. But if the idea is to not have your insulin resistance, if the idea is to not have blood sugar spikes, that's why you have to eat clean, because it helps with that. And who knows what that yeast is doing to our gut, right? Our gut, is the root of your health. It's the root of depression. It's the root of anxiety, anger. It plays a big part in that. So, anyways, we're halfway through day 7. And so far, I feel great. I had some hamburgers with no bun, just salt, and some boiled eggs for probably an earlier meal, like 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then I just snacked on some bacon. And then the wife is making pork chops. I might cook them on the grill. I know I'm kind of enjoying the grill being clean, but we'll probably cook them on the grill. And that was one of the reasons why we got this, because I want to start utilizing it. And no one is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. Strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Peace.